welcome back to Why Wait. You guys are probably what I'm doing with foam board here and making a mess. Well, stick around and we'll talk about it. Holding at 77, 110 outside. Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Wait. As many of you know, I'm Chris, and our channel is all about full-time RV living. All the adventures that we go on, our travels, as well as all the RV maintenance we do to keep up with things, modifications we make, and products we use to make life easier in the RV. So today, we are talking about air conditioning. Now, if you saw one of my videos just a few weeks ago, and I'll put a link to that right up here, we talked all about RV maintenance and getting it ready for the season, you know, going up on the roof and cleaning the condensers and all that stuff. Well, today, we are going to be making a modification and optimize the air condition by could be up to 40%. It's going to directly and smoothly force the air directly into the ducts versus in the empty space called the plenum up there. That's the space between the AC and the bottom of this unit, that dead space in there, as well as reducing noise, cooling time, saving energy, improving the overall performance of the units on the roof. So, I'm going to build my own today for about $10 to $18, depending on what you have. It's very easy. It doesn't take too long. It's not that hard to do. It's not an intimidating project. I've already done the one in the living room. We finished that up this morning. I'm already noticing increased performance and quieter, so I'm already kind of amazed at it. And what we're going to do is basically just build the unit. I'm going to walk you step by step on how to do it, talk about what we're doing, how it helps, and talk about how it's going to save energy and save you money and just cool your camper down faster, quicker, and with less noise. All right? And if you like the video, give a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you always get notified every time we got a new video coming out every Sunday. All right, guys, let's dive into this. Before we get into the installation and building of this, let's just talk about the few products you need. The first thing, project foam board. You're going to find these in 2-foot by 2-foot squares, 1 inch thick. These are going to be in any big box store, any Lowe's, Home Depot. They can be blue, they can be pink. It's just a basically installation kind of material. They range anywhere from $5 to maybe $6.50. So I would recommend getting 3 of these. You're really only going to need 2, 1 for each AC, or if you just want to do 1 air conditioning, probably just 1 board. I got 3, just the peace of mind in case I make some mistakes cutting, and why not have a little extra for that cost. Okay, the other thing you're going to need is some good HVAC tape, also known as like aluminum foil tape or HVAC duct tape. Again, not too expensive, a couple bucks per roll. I already had some on hand, so I didn't even have to buy any. You can get this on Amazon. I'll put a link down below to the one I have, or just go, get it right there at Home Depot and Lowe's. It'll be in the same section as where you got your project foam board. I think 1 roll will probably be more than plenty for 2 ACs. Next up, I recommend getting a jigsaw. I actually did buy this one specifically for this project, so if you want to include that in the cost of the project, I believe I got this for $30 or $35 on Amazon. It's just a Black & Decker 5-amp plug-in. I mean, it's, got a couple of adjustments. It can cut on a 45-degree angle, which you will need to do. We full-time RV, with weight issues, I just can't afford to, carry around every single type of saw. And it's just one thing I've never needed. I'm not exactly doing too much woodwork. I am going to be happy to have it now. I'm sure it's going to come in handy down the road. Most of you guys would probably already have one of those. Obviously, I had one back in the house, but we got rid of all that. So you guys start buying new things when you got projects like this. But doesn't set me back too much, and I'm sure I'll get more uses out of that with some other projects. Other than that, a tape measure, a drill or screwdriver to disassemble this. And that should be about it for this project. So first thing I'm going to show you is how to start taking the covers off the AC unit and get into exactly kind of what we're building up in there. one thing I wanted to touch base on was the thermostat for our camper. It's in the mid-bunk room, which is also the hottest room of the house because there's no ductwork, no real ductwork that goes through here. We have the loft above us, and within the loft above the loft is the ceiling where all the ductwork is. Where all they did was they had a wooden panel, basically a 4x4 wooden square hollow panel that ran down from the loft down to his room to this just the one duct in here, and the air would just trickle out of there because the air is spinning around in a circle or a figure eight for our camper, and nothing's pushing it down into that little about a 3-foot gap the size of the loft to come down into this little hack that we did. And I did it 2 years ago, so I don't have video footage, but I do have some pictures. We bought a fan, a little fan. I opened that area up in the loft, and when I opened it up, you thought there would have been like duct work or something, and it was nothing, just open wood. And I guess I was just expecting the air to just somehow just kind of trickle down through there, where it wasn't. So what I did was we actually installed some actual duct, hooked it up, ran the duct through that area, and then I have a fan in there, and that fan is set to pull air down. So it's pulling the air from the racetrack system or our ducts and forcing it out into this one little duct here for the room. So that definitely helped out. I mean, that definitely got some more cold air into the mid-bunk. What they should have did, and what they did with this thermostat on models a year or two after, was brought that thermostat on the other side of the wall and put it in the kitchen right here, which makes a lot more sense. What I do is I reach up into our loft, and I have the controller right here. I'll turn it on, and you can hear that air coming out of there now. I have that fan installed up in there that's sucking all the air out of the ductwork, and it's bringing it down into this room, which keeps this room cooler so that it's not working so hard. Because before, this room would be so hot and the AC would keep blowing, it just could not cool this room down. And then you'd come out into the living room and it would be, you know, cold. It'd be 74 degrees and we're cold, but it wouldn't shut off because this room would still be hot. So anybody with a mid-bunk unit similar to ours with the loft above the mid-bunk, if you're having trouble cooling the mid-bunk, one or two things. One, move the thermostat, which is an easy job. It's not something I've done yet. Move it to the outside wall. Or two, actually go up in there, follow your duct up into the loft, open it up in there, and see if there's even any kind of duct work in there. So I just wanted to throw that out there while I was doing this project for anybody who's been having that problem or kind of looking for a solution to that. This is the return air for the heater, for the furnace. Now, you have to keep this unobstructed in the wintertime when you're using your furnace and your heat. That's a given. Now, in the summertime, we're not running our heat. Once that season comes along, I actually take these screws out, and I've attached some the Reflectex to a piece of cardboard, and I put it in there to keep the heat from coming in here, because this goes directly out into your basement. I mean, it's a straight shot out to the furnace and hot water heater, and in the summertime you could just feel the heat kind of coming in through here. So in the summertime, when I'm trying to keep this room cooler and we know we're not using the heat anymore, I will put a Reflectex barrier inside there, and that definitely helps out as well. Just a couple tips on that. Now, okay, like I said earlier, if you saw my video from a few weeks ago, you really dive into the RV AC maintenance aspect as far as cleaning the condenser, cleaning the filters, making sure everything looks good inside there, taped off, and we just go through all that. So if you haven't seen that, again, check that out if you need to. So today we're going to kind of just quick disassemble this, pop these two filters out. There's a total of 8 screws, 4 for the outside cover, another 4 screws for the inside cover. And let me just do that real quick, and then we'll dive into the inside of it. Now, before we take this last cover off, let me talk about this for a second. What you have up here is your return air. This side is kind of already boxed off. This side sucks all the hot air out of your RV up into the AC, and this side is where the cold air comes out. You either have a duct right here that the air goes into, or a duct right here, and you can see our duct systems, and that's where all the air conditioning goes. Unless you want to use these dumps. So what you have right here are the AC dumps. If you don't want to use your ducts, you open these up, the air comes out of here, it fills in this track, and it just comes out directly out of here. Now with this modification, you're not going to be able to use those anymore. Once we do this, the only place your air conditioner is going to come out of is all your ducts. Because what's going to happen is this is all going to be sealed off right here. You're going to basically box off this entire side so that no more air conditioning can kind of leak out of here or come into the dumps. So next we're going to go ahead and take this panel off, and then I'll kind of show you about how we're going to box this off and seal it up good and direct the flow right into the ductwork. Well, here's essentially what it looks like up inside there. Again, the side that takes the hot air out of the camper up through here into the AC unit. The cold air comes out of here, and it either goes into this duct or this duct on this side. Now, I've already talked about my previous video how I've already went through and taped all this up because you want to make sure you have good seals around everything. Sometimes you have a bad tape seal in here and there's gaps and holes. Any gap and hole anywhere in here is going to decrease flow. And today, that's exactly what we're trying to increase is the airflow by sealing everything off really good. I've also went through these and talked about that and how I take these off, make sure there's no gaps in there, and tape all of that off. So today, we're going to take this out. We're going to basically make our own wall that goes right here. We're also going to make a bottom for it. And we're going to box this entire side off with eventually what looks like a triangular teepee here, and block this off so that the air comes right from here and flows right into there with no wasted space in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and take this piece down right here. And as you can see, I already got it really taped off really good from about a year ago when I sealed everything up in here real good. So give me a second, let's rip this out of here. By the way, in case you're even wondering where I got this idea, I follow We Live Free RV, an Instagram page. Jeff and Amanda have a great page over there, and that led me over to their YouTube channel. I was checking that out, and I came across this great AC modification. Looked like a good idea, wanted to give it a shot. So go check them out. I'll put links down below to Jeff and Amanda's Instagram page and their YouTube channel. Go give them a shout out, go give them a follow, subscribe to their channel. Definitely good stuff. It was a great idea, and I'm glad I stumbled across it. So we got that piece down from up there. It's up to you if you want to keep it or not for some reason, if you think you ever need to put it back up there. I'm tossing mine. Again, it's pretty much the same stuff as the project foam board, and I can just make a new piece if I ever want to, for some reason, you know, undo this project to put it back up there. But yeah, I'm tossing mine. The first measurement we want to make is basically going to be replacing that wall that we just took down. But we don't want it to come all the way down like that piece we took out. We want to have it come down an inch from the bottom, because we're also going to be putting a bottom piece in here that it's going to butt up against. So if you were to measure from the top down to this lip, not to outside here, because another piece of foam board is going to sit on this lip if you have it right here. We have 5 3/8. So I would want to cut a piece 4 3/8. Then you're going to want to measure the inside of here across, and we have 14.5. Now, when we make our measurements, I would say go 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch heavy, probably 1/8 of an inch, because you want things to fit snug in there. And of course, if you need to shave more off or cut more off, it's easy to make a trim. If you make it too small or too short to begin with, it'll be loose in there, and obviously you can't add more material. We have our first measurement. I'm gonna go cut that now. I'm gonna bring the piece back in. We'll fit it up in there and we'll see how it looks. We got our first piece cut. And as you can see, this is essentially the replacement for this. Just about the same size, about 1 inch less. Now let's see if we can fit it up in there if we need to make any adjustment. Again, you want it to be snug. So we're gonna kind of push it in there. Just get it in there where we want it. This way a little bit. All the way up plumb. Now, that looks pretty good. It's gonna be the right length, but I think this width right here is too much because I don't have an inch underneath here, and I'm gonna need an inch to put a bottom piece under here. So let's see what we have. we still have, that's about 3/4 of an inch, so we need to rip about a 1/4 inch off this width to leave room to get another piece of project foam board underneath here to box this off. So let's go do that real quick. Now, having a straight edge is also something you're going to want to have. Definitely make this project a little bit easier. A lot of lines and a lot of cuts. I would recommend after you make all your cuts to try to clean it up the best you can. Get all the foam pieces off, and since this is going up in your AC system. I also attempted some of these cuts with an X-Acto knife, and it definitely does not work as well. I've tried a few different knives just out of curiosity. The jigsaw just gives you a nice clean cut and surface, so it's really the way to go. Okay, let's put this piece back up in here again and see if it fits a little bit better. Okay, it looks like we have our inch under here, but I'm going to measure just to make sure that we have an inch. In fact, I have another piece of foam board right here, and if I can get that in there, I definitely can. And just a quick tip, I'll tell you right now, if you think you can just measure one AC unit and then just carry those measurements over to the next AC unit, it's not going to work. Even though it's the same exact AC unit, the measurements up inside the plenum are going to be different, just depending on how the unit was dropped, maybe how much it was sucked down to the roof. Some of the ducts are just a little inch over this way or that way, so the measurements between the two units are not going to be the same. You're going to have to go through and measure each one. Kind of a pain in the butt, but so once you got that piece up in there real good, right where you want it, and again, you want it right on the edge of where the duct is, so just make sure you got it right there on both sides. It's lined up with each duct. Now we're going to take a measurement going across from this wall to the outside of this board, and we're also going to get the width, which should be about the same, about the 14.5. But let's go ahead and check that out and get those measurements. From this wall to the outside edge, get that nice and kind of straight. Looks like we got 8.5, and I'll check it down here. 8.5, and then we're gonna check our bottom, 14 3/8. We'll go cut that and see how that turns out. Okay, so after our first two cuts, we have this one up in here. We can pop this one in here. So you can kind of see roughly, eventually we're going to get this boxed out right here with these two pieces joining. Now with this piece right here, we need it to go all the way over. You can see this gap here because we have the two bolts. These are the bolts that hold the AC to the roof. What I'm going to do is with this in place, I'm going to just push against those bolts and push against them. Now you can see after just taking this piece and pushing up against those two bolts right there, it made a mark where one bolt was at and where the other bolt was at. So I'm just going to take a little pin, mark that. We're just going to notch that out about 1 inch deep. Now here are my notches marked out. I drew them on here. This is where we pressed up against the bolts, and we're going to go ahead and cut that far deep. This side was like 1 3/8. This side was 1.5 inches. Well, just to find the depth, you just put your tape measure up against that wall to the outside of the bolts, and you can see 1 3/8, because the two sides would probably be different. This side right here was 1.5 inches, and then mark that on your piece. We're gonna go notch those out. Now remember, when you're making most of these cuts, again, we're not woodworking here and piecing together and sanding down things have to be perfect. If the cuts aren't perfect, it's okay, because you're going to be taping all of this up. All the seals and all the corners and all the edges are gonna have that HVAC tape, which is gonna hide any imperfections and seal off any gaps where the air may flow out anyways. Okay, there we go. We have it notched out, put in there, pushed all the way up against. It's flush all the way against the wall back there. I can feel it. Everything looks good. Next measurement we're going to make is going to be some angle pieces. Basically, you're going to take a measurement from here going down to the duct, and you're basically going to make a piece running from this wall that's going to touch when we build this put that wall in. So it's going to be going right here, forcing the air at an angle right down into there. So we're gonna go ahead and measure that. Now, if you want a better measurement for this, I recommend getting a fabric tape measurer, just to get a little bit more precise. So we're gonna go right from there, right to the inside edge of that duct, and we have pretty much spot on 5 inches. Now that we have the measurement going from here to here, we need to measure from here to here to get our width. And we pretty much have 7 1/4. I'll just check it out a little bit lower and see if it's close to the same. I'd say, yep, another 7 1/4. Okay guys, we got the piece we were just talking about cutting, these 7 1/4 by 5 inches. We need it to go up at an angle in there, so we got to cut a 45 degree. So I'm just gonna quick draw a line right here, just for reference, and over here. Just so we kind of know, and I'm gonna do that on both sides. Okay, we have our 45 degree angles marked out. Again, that's just a rough idea so we know kind of guideline where we're cutting. What you want to do after you set your jigsaw at a 45 degree angle, you basically want to get that blade lined right up on the corner. Just make a little dot on one of the guides up here. I'll put a little dot on that guide line right here. Move the jigsaw. That's essentially what we're going to follow with the blade, so it's going to end up being more kind of like that. But let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to put my blade on that edge corner. I got it lined up with my guide right here, and you'll see the cut here. There you go. You got your angle, and we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. We'll bring that in and we'll check it out. We have our two 45 degree angles cut. Now that's as far as the jigsaw is gonna let you cut an angle. You can honestly actually use a little bit better of an angle, but this is gonna do, like I said, it's gonna be taped up anyways, any gaps. So as you can see, what we just cut, it's gonna fit up there. And the most important thing is just having that angle nice and even with the opening to the duct. And we're gonna have to make a notch for this bolt, because what happens is it's gonna be pushed all the way over. So it's essentially gonna be that far over against this wall. It'll be snug up against this wall. So we're just gonna put it right here, and we're just gonna push into that bolt. You should be able to see we get a nice indentation right there. I just kind of like to go ahead and mark it out with a pen so I know. And then I'll just measure how far over I need to cut that. How far over I need to cut that into, I can even just do it like this. Make some marks, and then I'll draw these marks up and connect them with these. And I'll know how far to make that notch into here. So let's get our measurement for the other side over here to the edge of the duct, and we have 5 1/2. And then we want to get our measurement. It should be about the same on this side, and it is. It's from here to the edge is 7 1/2. And the edge of this, that's right where we're going to have that board that we made. So let's go make that cut. So as you can see, we got our notch cut out. The piece is in here real nice. It's flush against here. Again, we'll tape it all up later. We're gonna go put the other side in, cut the notch. You can see we have both those pieces in there. We're gonna tape everything off and get it all set. What we're gonna do next is make like a triangle thing. It's gonna be 2 pieces that will eventually sit up in here like this. That way when the air comes down, goes this way, and forces right into the ducts. Just finished taping off those angle pieces we put in there. So we had those pieces right here. They're all taped off flush, all the way down, all the way into the duct, all the way around the sides. Both of them are nice and taped off. So now let me just show you what it looks like with the bottom piece in here. You can sort of start to see kind of how it's coming together now. Here's gonna be our bottom piece. And now we're gonna build that triangle here and here. So you're gonna start to see that as the air comes out of there, it's gonna be slotted right down into here and slotted right down into there, right into the ducts. Okay, so here's that bottom piece we cut earlier with the slits for the bolts. And here's our wall. Essentially, this is the box that's going up in there. We're gonna have one piece like this and one piece like this to make a nice little triangle. We're gonna get a measurement. What we wanna measure is from this outer edge, butting up against this wall. I'm gonna make 2 pieces. One's gonna be 3 inches wide, and the other is gonna be 4 inches wide. I'm gonna go ahead and cut those, get that measurement, and show them to you. We went ahead and cut them. We got them cut. They're gonna go together basically like that. I'm gonna cut an angle just on one end this time. Unlike the other pieces where we cut an angle on both ends, we're gonna butt those up square. We're gonna cut an angle here essentially and cut an angle here essentially. So when we set it down, when it's on the other piece of foam board, it'll be sitting flat onto it. Okay, here they are. As you can see, it makes that little triangle. And we're gonna tape that up real quick, and I'm gonna show that to you. So take your bottom piece, you put your wall on there. You're gonna have your measurement going across here. Ours was 7.5, and you're gonna do 7.5 by 4 and 7.5 by 3. This one is 4 inches wide. This one is 3 inches wide. When you put them together like that, you make a perfect triangle. So when I go ahead and tape this on here, I measured across here, 14 inches long. I marked the center at 7 inches. That way when I tape my triangle or teepee on here, I know that the top of this, looking down, is gonna be right in the middle of this bottom board. Okay, there we have it. That's what it should look like when it's finished. Probably don't have to tape as much as we did, as much as I did. I just went ahead and did it. This is an insulation board anyways, so as long as it's taped on there good and holding, it's fine. I'm gonna put that up in there and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, we're in the final stages. It's time to take this piece, we're gonna put it all together and we're gonna put it up in there, and then we'll tape it off once it's in there. We gotta put this up in there first to get it in there, and then maneuver this in there. We'll tape it up, put it all back together, and see how she looks. As you can see, the air is gonna hit it, force the air in there real nice. Everything is gonna be sealed off real tight in here. We're gonna go ahead and take this piece and finish maneuvering it in there, get it up in there, tape it all off, and seal it up. Okay, we got it boxed up in there. We're gonna tape off this edge, the top edge, tape these sides off, and get it all sealed up. Here it is. Everything is boxed in and sealed off. No air is gonna get out of here anywhere. All that cold air is gonna stay on that side and get into the duct just like we want it. Now, I went ahead and even taped up on these outside edges. Just remember, you do have a screw hole here, here, and here, I believe. So try not to tape over those, or if you do, just mark a little, piece of marker where the hole's at so you can put your screw back into there. I'm gonna go ahead and button it up, turn it on, see how it sounds, see how it feels. It's 91 degrees. I just turned the air conditioning back on. It's about 105 outside. We're actually having an excessive heat warning here in Nevada today. But let's see how long it takes to cool down from 91 and just see how fast this room can get cool. It's been exactly 11 minutes on my clock. We're down to 82 degrees in here from the 91 and 92 that it was actually right before I started filming. So we've dropped 10, 11 degrees within just a hair over 10 minutes. I suspect this is gonna keep going down. Again, we are totally out in the sun, no Reflectex on the windows, here in Nevada, right on the border of Death Valley. Holding at 77, 110 outside, and the AC actually just came on. It's not even running continuously. It's not a hard project to do. You can save a lot of money. It's gonna make it more efficient, save you some money. It's gonna make it quieter, cooler, all the good things you want. Summertime's coming up. I think we got them installed just in time. It looks like it's gonna be 106 every day for the rest of the week, if not month. And so far, I've already been pretty happy with it. It seems quieter. I'm getting more flow out of these ducts. It's cooling down a lot quicker. So 2 thumbs up on that whole system. Now, thanks for stopping by. And as always, get out there, start your full-time adventure because, hey, why wait? We'll see you guys next week.